And so she's doing everything now, and he's an alcoholic. What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we're taking a look at some posts on various subreddits that are all asking the question, is marriage good for men but bad for women? Or in other words, does marriage really suck for women? Obviously, we're talking about heterosexual couples. I don't know if this applies to same-sex couples, but I would be curious to know. I have heard and read articles about the concept of marriage being good for men but bad for women for probably over the past 20 years or so. It's come into the more mainstream conversation, and it's pretty fascinating to me. I guess I'm showing my age when I say that the first time I heard that marriage is bad for women, my first thought was, well, if we're talking about traditional historical marriage, women didn't have to work. They just, got all their bills paid or whatever. How bizarre that was my first thought. And I did a video last week. You can check it out here with some TikToks about women saying that you shouldn't get married. And one of those women was saying that if you are married and you think it's working out for you because your man pays your bills and you don't have a cook, a housekeeper, a driver, then you are just trading your labor taking care of a house for free room and board, which is, where's the lie, So let's check these posts out. But first, in every video on this channel, I take a moment to beg and plead with all animal lovers out there. Please consider fostering or volunteering on site for your local animal shelter or rescue. And this little girl is Pearl, and she is adorable. I have her and her sister, my current fosters. She's about probably 10 or 11 weeks old, so going on 3 months, and she just got spayed, and now she's ready to be adopted. But the shelter system, at least throughout the U.S., but probably the world, is very, very taxed and overrun, and nobody ever has enough volunteers or fosters. So if you can find it in your heart to do your little part to help save the world, there is a shelter near you that would love to have you. So please do it for the animals. Thank you. Okay, so first post today is from the really cool sub 2X chromosomes, and there's some really fascinating stuff over there. You should check it out if you are a Redditor. This post was written by someone who has since deleted their account, and it's titled, "Do you feel that marriage is a con for some women?" Some is in parentheses. And they say, "I feel that for me, getting married was the worst decision ever. Before marriage, my partner wasn't perfect, but he did more than half of the household chores. He said he was a feminist. He claimed he wanted a partnership and considered me to be his best friend. He echoed all of my thoughts on so many subjects. He did nice things for me, like driving me to my parents every weekend. He did all of the cooking. He paid half of the bills, and he made me laugh so much." Sounds like a great guy, huh? Unless we're being love bombed, maybe? I think she said this was before she got married. Yeah, before marriage. She goes on. "He seemed to have good parenting ideas, and he told me he'd be happy being a stay-at-home dad so I could focus on my career. When we got married, we'd been together for 9 years. Wow, she really waited and made sure he was worthy of marriage, I guess. And we lived together for the vast majority of that time. I entered into marriage aware of his flaws, but I was totally blindsided by the abrupt change after marriage and kids as I got pregnant soon after getting married." Wow, 9 years together. "Now I'm doing 100% of the cooking and housework while also working a lot more hours than him and paying all of the bills. What the fuck? I deal with 100% of the mental and practical load of the house and the children. He no longer drives, so I do all of the driving. He's rude and nasty and abusive. He's an alcoholic. He doesn't even speak to me or look at me, and he does everything he can to hurt me and make me suffer. Yeah. Unfortunately, it sounds like you were love bombed, my dear. Very, very common. The narcissist presents themselves as not only, and I'm not a psychologist, disclaimer, I'm not a mental health professional of any kind. I am just a woman who was raised by a narcissist man and has dated narcissistic men. And in my experience, the narcissist reflects you back to you. That's why she said he had the same ideas as her. He echoed all of my thoughts on so many subjects. Yeah, because the narcissists, from what I've read, and it depends on how far down the spectrum they are, I would think, the narcissist does not have a sense of self. And so they reflect you and they mirror you. And you essentially fall in love with yourself. And they can keep up the facade for, however long. Apparently, fucking 9 years. I mean, that's crazy. But I guess this guy felt like once you get everything legal, it's so much harder to leave. It really seems like some of these men just decide to treat their wives like shit after promising to be a partnership. It's really, really sad. Super sad. And so she's doing everything now, and he's an alcoholic. He's a horrible, mean parent with no patience for the children. I honestly cannot remember the last time he ever made me laugh. It's like a switch flipped. I often see comments that women should vet men before marriage, and if they end up trapped with the bad guy, that's somehow their fault. But I feel like I was well and truly tricked into marrying someone who had pretended to be someone else for 9 years, only letting the mask slip once I was trapped. Has anyone else had this experience? Yeah, it is a mask. The narcissist will lie. Oh my God, my first boyfriend, he was my 16 to 18 when I was 16 to 18, but he was in his 20s. He was 6 years older than I was. And so it was kind of scandalous to begin with back in the day, but he was so immature. But he would just lie when you didn't even need to lie. He told me that he had lived in London and he went to NYU and he'd lived here, there, and everywhere, and he'd slept with all these women. And meanwhile, he was a virgin too. And he had never left our hometown, pretty much. So narcissists will lie. They will present themselves as someone that they are just completely not. But this is pretty amazing that this guy kept this mask up for 9 years. I mean, if they had never got married, would he just still be this really cool partner that she had? This is so strange. Let's see what the comments say. Lee Lulay said, get a divorce. Fuck yeah, lady. You make most of the money. You do everything. He sounds like he's dependent on you for everything. You're married to an abusive prick who contributes nothing but a little money and a whole lot of problems and heartache for you. Don't stay together for the kids. He's a horrible dad. He's a horrible husband. He's a pathetic man. Leave. You hold all the cards. Play the hand. Hell yes. Yeah, I mean, this woman sounds not naive is not the word, but she kind of sounds like she's in shock, which I guess if I was married to, or I was with someone for 9 years and they were one person and then we got married and I instantly got pregnant and they turned into somebody else. I mean, I want to know, like I said, if they never got married, would he have turned like this? If they never had kids, would he have turned like this? It's like, what is this? What causes this? It's so crazy, but you hear it all over Reddit. There are stories like this. And I'm not saying that all men are like this, and I'm not saying that women don't behave like this too, so please don't assume that I'm talking about everybody. It's a broad generalization. Seba660R said, my wife went through a similar experience with her ex. Her biggest regret is she tried to make it work, hoping he'd sober up, and she just wasted several more years being miserable. Yeah, life is too short. Our lives are not very long, and you spend most of your time trying to keep a roof over your head and feed yourself and your loved ones. So even with all our modern conveniences, life can still be very tough, even for the average person. It's not the way it used to be in the States, at least not now. Anyway, it's too short to do this. This is definitely a relationship where she might get caught up in the sunk cost fallacy. Like, well, we were together for 9 years before we got married and he was great. And I know he can be that guy again, and that's probably all kinds of thoughts that she's had and that she has stuck around. They have kids. And so you want your kids to have two parents in the house for the most part, but this is not worth it. This is not worth it. And particularly, she makes all the money. My mother has told me that she couldn't leave because the same thing happened when she married my stepfather, big time narcissist. And he love bombed the hell out of her and then got her to quit her job. They got married. She said she didn't want to marry him that soon. Immediately, she gets pregnant because he has to have a biological child to name after himself. Can't even give the kid his own name. And that's when the abuse started. And my mother said, I had 4 little children and no job. What was I going to do? How was I going to leave? But that is not the situation for this woman. So yeah, you hold all the cards, babe. Play the hand. Misanthrope1 commented, talk to an attorney first. OP may be on the hook for alimony if she's the sole breadwinner. Ugh, they still do alimony, huh? That's pretty crazy. Disjointed Chameleon said, not if she plays her cards right and finds a good accountant and lawyer. There are ways to protect your assets without setting off proverbial red flags. I work in auditing in the financial services industry, so let's just say I know a thing or two about evidence and documentation. I left my abusive soon-to-be ex-husband 4 months ago. He was also an alcoholic deadbeat who refused to maintain gainful employment, even while I was undergoing chemotherapy, monthly immunotherapy infusions, and countless surgeries for my medical condition. I spent a decade doing all of the things and finally got fed up and left 4 months ago. Thankfully, we didn't have any children. I can't believe she lasted that long. I earn 6 figures and I earn him by 50 grand. Okay, so you both got decent money. I walked away with a clean deal. Won't have to pay him a dime in alimony, nor a penny out of my 401k. Well, yeah, a good lawyer and a good accountant are 2 things you never will be sorry for having. OP, I also recommend checking your employee benefits plan. These days, many companies offer access to cheap legal help through a network they partner with. You might be able to find more affordable legal help that way. Very interesting. Okay, next up we have a post from the Feminism sub, and it's by user Affectionate Risk. Is marriage basically a scam for women? I recently got into a debate on another sub and started researching. The stats and studies have absolutely amazed me. I'm now reconsidering any ambition I had of getting married. And according to this user, what she discovered is chores, married versus cohabitation breakdown. In Western countries, married men do 27% of the chores, and that's a high estimate, compared to 40% by men if they just live together and are not married. Indoor chores, if you live together, 71% is done by women, and if you're married, 81% is done by women. Chores married versus single. On average, a married woman performs 3 hours of chores per day compared to 2.4 hours a day for a single mother. What's the difference cited in the studies? The married woman is cleaning up after a man in addition to the kids. Oh my God, that just hurts my heart. Come on, people. Happiness. Never married versus married. Never married women reported to have longer-term stable happiness compared to married women. I would agree with that. If for no other reason than if you're single, you don't have to consider anyone else's feelings. She doesn't say if it's single mothers or just single women. Health, never married versus married. Never married women are typically healthier, less depressed, less anxious compared to married women. It seems that marriage is great if you're a man. And no, I'm not stating all marriages are like the above description, but reading through the studies, I can't help but get more and more of a feeling that marriage is an outdated, ultimately misogynistic institution that is slowly dying off. Oh, bless you. Bless you and your entire family. Affectionate risk. What a brilliant way of putting it. I can't help but get more and more of a feeling that marriage is an outdated, ultimately misogynistic institution that is slowly dying off. Yes, I mean, go way, way back, of course, we know, women were, you had to find a husband because you couldn't have your own money. And the government of probably most countries gives you tax incentives to be legally married. So that's a carrot they dangle for you. They give you tax incentives to have children. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. In the West now, 50% of babies are born to unwed parents. Of the parents who are married at birth, 50% of parents will divorce before the child turns 18. De facto separations are only slightly higher at around 60%. So slightly higher incidence of breaking up if you're not married, just in a relationship. Because it's so much easier to leave, I would imagine. Is this the beginning of the end of marriage? Full disclosure, I have 2 toddlers and I am in a de facto relationship. Here to Red said, there's a reason society works really, really, really hard to tell the tale that marriage is something women want, or should want. There's a reason society tries to tie a woman's worth to marital status, and society tries so hard. Yes, think of how women used to be referred by their husband's name. Like, you weren't Mrs. Jane Smith, you were Mrs. John Smith. Like, you were an appendage of your husband. And society has, Disney alone has done untold damage presenting marriage as a happily ever after. And that's what girls dream of. And it's really sad because that is, a wedding is not a marriage. You can have a fantastic wedding of any type of religion or non-religious service you want. You can spend all the money you want on it, and it doesn't have to be legal. And that way, you can just fucking leave when you get sick of their shit. But society really wants us to be legally married because then it's harder for the woman to leave. It does seem like everything is about tying women down, making women need to have a man. That is, wow. Potato Cupcake E said, same reason why they want women to marry young, before they are fully mature and understand how the world works. Yeah, before their brain has fully developed, before they have any idea of who they are or what they want. And if you are raised with the constant repetition drilled into your brain that you are female, you are lesser than, you need to have a man to protect you and take care of you, it's so much harder when you're indoctrinated in that. Okay, Alchemy Alice says, yes, now factor in the Project 2025 threat of taking away no-fault divorce. Yeah, that's all to keep women tied down. The entire system is geared based on the fear of women, taking over, having equal rights as men, having equal pay for the same work as men. I am so disappointed that we are still fighting this same fucking battle. It's such a waste of time. Women are women, men are men, they are different but equal. Can we just fucking move on? The house is on fire and we're arguing over whether forks are better than spoons. Twist Outrageous said, Project 2025, it's bizarre how religious people want to meddle so much in other people's lives. Yeah. In the name of Jesus. Investigator OK said, and as virgins, so we have nothing to compare our experience with. And that apparently is that user's experience. Oh my gosh. That is frightening that this is still an uphill battle. And like I said, it's such a waste of time. Like, what are we doing? Okay, and finally, also from the feminism subreddit by user Rosie Purple 13. And they say marriage just seems awful. I feel like this is the only place to voice this. I see it happen to everybody. People who you never thought it could happen to after 6 months, 20 years, and even if you've predicted it. My parents were married for 8 years and divorced when I was 6. My grandma married twice and was cheating on the father of her children 2 years before he passed, and she's divorced again. And my aunt-in-law just called it quits after 24 years and 2 kids. I may just be surrounded by people that just don't love each other, but I generally don't see marriage as a happy thing. Why do lots of women want it? Why are we taught to want it? Well, one ginormous reason in the modern age is the bazillion-dollar wedding industry. If you're happily married, this clearly doesn't apply to you. But why is the end goal always that? Can people not have long, fulfilling relationships without it? I tried to post this somewhere else without going into much detail, and people treated me like I was insane. Oh my God, that's really disheartening to hear that. Some felt personally targeted because I said that a rule I stand by is that if you love me, don't propose. I got told that my take was dumb, and someone tried to tell me that my opinion wasn't valid because I'm 19. Oh, you are a smart little whippersnapper. Don't let anyone tell you different. God forbid a woman is self-aware of the fact that possibly marriage isn't in her cards because of family history. I was even told that I need therapy because I don't believe that marriage is worth it. Please let that sink in. Yeah, you don't have to be married to have a long, happy relationship. Just ask Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. If you want to be legally married and that works for you, good for you. That's fantastic. But since half of the marriages break up, and it would be much, much higher if you made everybody get married, you really would have to take away no-fault divorce. We go back to the 1950s. Oh, God. I don't think I have to tell my life story for it, but I will, because apparently we always have to prove that we're not just dumb girls. Ooh, I like this girl. She is one smart teenager. As you guys can tell, I haven't had the most positive view of marriage because the people that were together didn't love each other, didn't work out, or married too quickly. My experience as well, for watching the people around me in my family's marriages. I don't think I want to get married because my mom found herself in an abusive relationship and we were both victims of domestic violence. I don't think I even need to include this, but even when I tried without actually saying the words, someone basically told me that being 19 does play a factor in why I view marriage so negatively, and that I'm not special because I'm not the only one that's seen relationships fail. I'm sorry you're so offended by the fact that I don't want to get married. Maybe it's because I'm bi and poly or because of everything else I mentioned, but why do people scoff at the idea that a woman just doesn't want that? Because society really wants to keep women in their traditional place, and there's a war on, a culture war. And it's really sad. We're just going around in circles. I'm in therapy and I'm still not sure what that's supposed to do. I wouldn't trust myself to be legally bound to someone because what if I ever need to leave too? Exactly. I don't think I need to prove my love and loyalty to anyone through marriage. And if I did, there's bigger issues. Yeah, marriage, I'm sure, whenever it became a legal thing, was made legal to tie women in, to make them stay. No fault divorce. You have to stay. That's why great grandma stayed married for 75 years. She had no fucking choice. She goes on, I realized I didn't want that when I was one of the very few girls who never dreamed of that day and what everything would look like, and that's it. Is it seriously that ridiculous to want a long-term relationship without a legal process? No, it's completely normal, and if that's what you want, that's what you should do. Is it seriously insane to still want a family without it? Absolutely not. Your family is whatever you build your family to be. I don't see how marriage proves to be true love and loyalty. No. That's just a line of bullshit we've been sold by the media, Disney, books, that's what sells. Okay, I thought I would add this just because it's so ridiculous, it's hilarious. I think that what ruffled some feathers for some people is that I've always stood by a saying I've heard all my life when the shit hits the fan with these people. And her quote is in Spanish, but in English it says, better alone than in bad company. Yes, I really think that our modern world has made it seem like being alone is some horrible thing. And actually, being alone, especially for women, is like the world's best kept secret. Stay single, girls. Psychology Dry said, I agree. I find most of the heterosexual relationships around me to be very unequal, with the woman doing an outsized amount of the work. I feel badly for women who commit to men who don't do their share. Someone who deleted their account said, heteronormative relationships are bad for women in general. There's data that shows this, especially when children are involved. Well, that must be why they have to come up with all these laws to make it impossible for women to leave. And they have to brainwash women by telling them that they'll get to be princess for a day and live happily ever after. And it's all lies. Cytomome said, don't even need marriage for these unequal relationships. It seems like relationships with men, period, are ill-advised for women. Well, if you like the D, enjoy yourself while you're young and wild, I guess. Or young and mild, but enjoy yourself if you like the D. I'm not man-hating here. I'm just marriage-hating, basically. Patriarchy hating. Pretty Edge said, I'm over 40 and I've often said that marriage looks like a hostage situation. Yes, that's why I always say marriage is prison with better furniture. Yes, the world is going to think that something is wrong with you. I've been told that I'm a man wrapped in a woman's body. Marriage is sold as a part of the traditional dream for emotional and economic stability. The happily ever after that women should work for. Pop culture books and movies are full of women desperate to marry. You will meet strong, happily married couples in your life, but they are the exception, not the rule, in my experience. And the OP Rosie Purple replied, I think my mom may just agree with you. She's been in a long-term relationship for over a decade now, and I don't see her getting married at all again. A lot of people were sharing their success stories in the comments, and I really did appreciate that. But I definitely do think that, like you said, these people are the exception. My cousin-in-law has been married to her high school sweetheart for 3 years, and they've been together for 10. And I wish them nothing more than to keep being that way. But we can't all expect to be like that. Holy fuck. If I had married the guy I dated a few guys in high school. I only actually had sex with my last high school boyfriend. But if I had been married right out of high school, any of those, what the fuck? I don't even recognize the person I was back then. And like this person says, if that's your experience and you guys grow together and it works for you, good for you. You are the people who should be married. Unfortunately, just like having children, it is not for everyone. She goes on. Someone even said that marriage is good for kids. I'm assuming they mean having them, but why is it necessary? It isn't. I think what we've heard in these posts and these comments really shows that marriage has been sold to women as something they should aspire to. And it's our human nature to want to be part of the group and to be seen as appropriate and successful in whatever society says the rules are. So it's really sad, but I'm so glad that all of this kind of discussion is becoming so much more mainstream. And that's what I have for you today, guys. So please do let me know in the comments. What do you think of the state of marriage? Are you married? Have you been married? Have you been divorced? What was your experience? If you are female and in straight heteronormative relationships, do you relate to any of this? I can relate to it just having been in, cohabitation relationships. Anyway, so if you like this video, please like it, please hype it, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 3,000 subs, and that means so much to me, even though it may seem like a small amount of subscribers. I'm really proud of the intelligent people who have been drawn to my content and like to have a discussion. So anyway, that's what I have for you today, guys. I thank you so much to everyone who stops by to hear me talk shit on the internet, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.